Hey, what's up, everybody? You're watching the Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Jazmyn Jackson is here with us, Athletes Unlimited Softball on CBS Sports Network tonight. Jazmyn, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So I've enjoyed this whole season. It's been a lot of fun to watch. You're experiencing it. You're living it. You've had many great softball experiences, but how does this one stack up comparatively?
Um, this has just been an awesome experience just to be here playing with all of these amazing women. In terms of my own softball game, I've always highlighted the team aspect, and I was a little nervous coming here about the team switching up and it being on the point system, but I've never felt so part of um, a team in my life. Like, it's different because it's a group of 56, but even being on the other side, cheering for some of your friends on the other team or your teammates because you know how hard they've been working, but also respecting that competitive aspect on both sides is really fun, really cool.
What have you learned about yourself as a softball player the last 4 or 5 weeks?
As a softball player, I've learned about myself that, well, maybe I still got this. It's been a long time, given COVID and not training all of COVID because facilities have been shut down. And I'm in California, so there, a lot of things have just been like completely shut down. So it was really nice to get here and be like, oh, like I still can kind of play. But then just the reaffirming or remembering that softball is a tough game.
Mm.
So I remember my resiliency and bringing that here. And, I had a really good first weekend, but then a really not good next weekend, and then been here and there. So I learned about myself that I can still do this, but, it is a lot of work and it is a lot of mental game work for sure.
I feel like we've all had to really up our mental game with everything going on in 2020. So, how has this helped you personally? Because COVID is a really difficult thing in general, all the conversations about racial injustice. How important has
Mm.
this experience been for you just personally overall?
It's been selfishly really nice to be in this shield and get to play softball, doing something that I love and not having to, really worry about the rest of the world if I don't want to. So selfishly, that's been nice. And there's been a couple days where it's been really nice to just unplug from the world and just play softball. That's been awesome. But understanding that, we are a part of this world and we need to use this platform for good. I think that's been one of the biggest things for me mentally is having that opportunity to unplug, and it's really cool to be here to do that. But then also plugging back in using, the voice I have.
You mentioned you had a great start opening weekend. Is there a favorite moment you've had so far from the league, or are you still waiting to have that the best performance?
I'm still waiting just because it's not over, and I don't want to say it already happened. Peak is over, but I did hit a grand slam,
That's
and
pretty dope.
I
Yeah.
know it was pretty cool. I felt like I was going back and forth between slapping and hitting. I do, slapping, hitting, bunting, all of it. But I was like, okay, bases are loaded. Like, these girls are forcing me to, not slap. I got to hit, and I ended up hitting a grand slam, and that was super cool. And I was like, a little surprised, but also like, yeah, like that felt good. So that's been my favorite moment so far. But even just watching other moments like Sam Fisher hitting that bomb the other day to get us like all those 60 points back, and then 40 for herself, a 100-point bomb. So just watching my teammates has honestly been part of all of my peaks throughout this whole season.
And also as a slapper, it's nice to remind people, hey, I can hit for power too. It's not just the speed thing here.
Yeah, I know. People are like, oh, well, wasn't prepared for that. Sometimes it's funny that it works like that.
So you mentioned watching Sam Fisher hit a big home run. Who are some of the other women that you've gotten tight with that maybe you've met before, maybe you've seen them in other circles, but now they're really
Hmm.
close friends of yours?
Um, I haven't had as much time to spend with, or you know, this shield has made everything so like we can only see each other, we can only hang out with each other, so that is really cool because I'm actually getting to know my teammates on a different level. But Erica Piancaselli, she was one of my good friends before here and we're roommates now, and just seeing her thrive in this environment, everybody's like, she went to a mid-major. I'm like, yeah, and she's so good. Like, mid-major girls can be good too. That's been really cool. Playing with Alicia Ocasio, Morgan Howe has been awesome. Kama Dung, I went to college with her, so that's been cool. But Megan Wiggins has been awesome. Kylan Becker. There's just so many girls that I've enjoyed my time with, that I've had experiences with before, some that I haven't, but it feels like everybody is my sister now. It's so cool.
That's awesome. And a lot of these women that you mentioned are proving it doesn't matter where you went to school, where you played professionally, you get
Hmm.
all in the same place and you could really show out. So I think that's been one of the best
Absolutely.
parts of the experience.
Hmm.
When you think about softball going forward, I think it's amazing that softball's on a national platform. We're having these conversations. How do we keep that energy going?
Just supporting women's sports and understanding that we're good too. I mean, if you think about it, in the infield, like we got to be a lot quicker than the baseball guys. You know, it's a smaller game, it's a faster game, but it's so skill oriented, and I think we're overlooked in that sense just because we're women, for
Mhm.
whatever reason that is. But these are some talented women out here, and some of I am surprised, but not surprised every single day by what these women can do. And I think just if you truly respect women and if you truly respect movement, we all know it's like sometimes it's hard for me to like go to the gym and work out and just like seeing these people are actually putting in the effort to do these things is. I think there's just a different level of respect that will go into continuing women's sports. And then in terms of momentum, it's tough with COVID, but just keeping our content up, letting everybody know like what we're doing, what they can be a part of, engaging that fan experience throughout until the next season, I think is going to be huge on our way to hopefully AU Pro Sports Softball 2021.
I'm hoping for that too. I think it's been awesome to see you and the rest of the athletes play. It's been great to see you and everybody else using your platform as well. Like you post a picture on Instagram, you're wearing a Black Lives Matter mask.
Hmm.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. You have an RBG quote. What does it mean to use your platform to talk about issues of racial injustice and women's rights and everything, of the like?
Yeah, I feel like it's cool content behind serious things. You know, addressing that I'm not just an athlete, I'm also a human, and a lot of athletes are humans as well. They're all they're all human. So I think that combining those two really can help people understand that just because we're entertaining them or we're getting paid doesn't mean that we don't also feel these things. So on one hand, it's like really cool for people to be like, man, I feel that same thing too. It's we're experiencing this on all levels, whether you're on TV or whether you're not on TV, we're all experiencing it. And then hopefully for the people that don't necessarily understand why we're using our platform in this way, maybe it's getting them looking into things, maybe it's getting them talking about certain things that they might not have before. So really it's just bringing awareness to all of these topics that are so important, so crucial to this world.
Yeah, amen to all that. How about for you going backwards a little bit? When you were at Cal Berkeley, what were some of the coolest parts of that experience? Because the softball's one thing, but just like the
Oh yeah.
incubator as an intellect must have been fascinating. What still sticks out all these years later?
I mean, absolutely, so much fun. I there's so many things I love about Berkeley. That's my favorite city in the world. But um, just in terms of being your true authentic self, I feel like you can never get through Berkeley unless you were. So um, I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement started in 14, or it became big in 14, and that was my freshman fall. That was the riots, that was the going to the freeway and shutting down the freeway, all of that stuff. So I have that side of things where people love to use their voice, and women's marches that are so cool to go to up in the Bay Area and definitely in Berkeley. So being in solidarity with people that care about the people around them, and it's everybody. We experience diversity every day, and to be a part of these things in solidarity just means you respect and you care for the people around you, and I think that's awesome. But then in terms of education, oh my gosh, if I took like 17 units like my senior year first semester. I was like, I want to take 17 more units, but obviously I'm playing a sport. But I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm a huge nerd, and I love learning. So being at Berkeley was one of the most awesome experiences of my life.
That's really cool. And just the fact that you were at the forefront in 2014, the birth of Black Lives Matter and the
Mm,
movement, and think about where it is 6 years later. Like sometimes
yep.
in life, it feels like things don't change that much, but it
Hmm.
certainly has changed a lot in 6 years. What,
Absolutely.
what stands out to you the most just about the progress that's been made overall?
Um, just the fact that we're still talking about it. There was some kind of stagnant years in between then, but now it's just we've already gotten over those years of being stagnant, and now it's like we're not letting that happen again, and we're going to push forward. And I think that's so inspiring. I that just people are understanding the language more of what Black Lives Matter means, and reforming the police and all of those types of things. People are starting to understand language. It's not so crazy now to hear. It's more now people are understanding that we need to start educating ourselves on these things. And I I mean, it's just really cool to see where it's been. It's been a long time coming, and we're nowhere near close to being finished. But it's nice to see things progressing in certain
No,
ways.
no question about it. And it takes people being their authentic selves, just like you. So, Jazmyn,
Absolutely.
really nice to talk to you. Enjoy the
Thank you
softball
so
and
much.
stay safe, all right?
Thank you. You too.